Good afternoon. This is Heather, slash, also known as Hetty, the argument between my parents. Never really won. I go by either. You'll know me mostly from Alive and Me on Twitter, and you'll see me if you bounce on epilepsy cures, because I've had epilepsy my whole life, and I think Jesus, he's had many plans I know lined up for many reasons, and of course I'm praying that this third surgery that he has planned on February 1st will be a plan so that they are controlled. And if that's not his reason, he always has other reasons why, and it's always amazing what does come out of it. But I've always been asked, because for this past year on Twitter, on Facebook, and going through not just that, but just so many other things, and, just why, the whole whys and hows. And, when people especially find out, you didn't find them until when, this is how. All I can say, from my perspective, I'll never know until I, meet Jesus face to face, all the whys, the hows, and all that. And until then, it's just fine just to know that I just know that he's amazing, and he planned all this already way before I was born. But I never knew a thing about him, when I was a kid. Never heard a thing until, well, other than, like I think I've said, it, unfortunately, was used, as like a cuss word, his name in vain. That's, how I heard of his name. I once caught a glimpse of Jesus of Nazareth and had zero idea at the age of 7 what that was. I know it, like, caught me, but still, I had no idea. Only thing I was ever, like, begun to be introduced to one time when I fled within, like, a minute was, my neighbors were Mormons, and they started playing this tape without even an intro telling me what was all about, and I just knew, even then, I was uncomfortable with anything, so I said, my parents are calling for dinner, and I don't like food to begin with, so I ran. So, I grew up in Havasu, and then, I didn't know, but I found out on Facebook that I had tons of friends that knew Jesus. Nobody was verbal, Nobody was verbal. Never heard about him. Never saw anything about him. I ran off and got married, I dealt with my parents who had a very tough marriage. My dad cheated on my mom. I didn't think it was that tough because I was tough, and I'm counseling my mom when I'm 14, and I'm telling her, you leave dad, I'm back behind you, and you shouldn't have, blah, blah, blah. It's like a counselor. She told me all the stories. She and I were very close, and, we still are, and she's just an amazing lady. But the stories told just shouldn't have been. So it just led to me when we moved, and it just kind of like, when you move as a teenager, it just, drains on you. I ran off and got married at the age of 19, to a Marine. Right away, our marriage just went downhill. I thought I could build this, like, perfect marriage that my parents didn't have, and it didn't happen. And, he introduced Jesus to me in such a harsh manner, basically telling me he loves him more than me, blah, blah, blah. It just, he didn't know how to intro, like, in the amazing love way. It was just the harsh do it or you're going to go to hell way. So I just, I was over it. And the moment he cheated on me, I was, like, really over it. And then we were kind of over each other 18,000 times within 4.5 years. And then we got back together. We were planning on another divorce. And we got pregnant, which I always looked at things as signs. Not a God thing, but signs. And he was so angry because he had a relationship going. And he really didn't want to have that kid, which I'm so glad that I ever looked at things as signs then, because she's just an amazing kid. And, he did go the whole way, and things went crazy, and my seizures went nuts. And it threw things out of proportion for him. And he just stomped his foot. And he was angry that it set his plans, out of, out of line. And so it finally came to a point where I just left. I took Tori after I had her because my seizures were crazy. Tough situation we were in with his parents. They hated me. And came back to Arizona to be with my family and to find a neurologist that would care for me. And I found the amazing one that I have today. Went through the first brain surgery. My ex came back, of course, wants to reconcile. Okay, I feel obligated. Let's try it again. We have a kid. And then 2 months after my brain surgery, 4 days after I got to Texas where he was stationed, he beat me. That was the calling point. That was like a strange blessing. The moment he beat me was the moment the Army took him, out of the apartment, and I turned to overdosing first, to the point where I almost lost my life at least 2 big times. During the time of 2003, I met this amazing soul that I have today, which is my husband, Christian, and my daughter's father, gonna be legal in February. And he has just worked wonders through faith, because after the last huge overdose, because we got into this huge argument, my ex and I, on the phone. He was in Iraq then. I got just thrown out of proportion, and I took every pill I had stashed, and which is just an immense amount. It was like over 9,000 milligrams. I took 188, which should have taken 180 a day, which is like over 9,000 milligrams. And I knew that day when I had my friend, whom I was like ballistic with, and I called my neurologist, and he said, "You need to be here now." We finally get up there, and I'm just gone. And just before I slip into coma, I just knew my life. It just felt like almost like I knew my life was going. I whispered, I just had been going to church. I've been trying. I've been seeing all these signs, just feeling these moments. And I just whispered to him, just one last chance. And oh my gosh, did he ever give that to me. Because I slipped into coma. I was out, for 24 hours. And the moment I came back, things were different. And that's when my husband today and I, really, really got together, because my life just changed. My outlook on Jesus, was on fire. Even though all circumstances were tough, I've gone through so many seizures, so many medical on the outside issues. I can't sit down and name them all. It's just out of control, between kidney and other hospitalizations for missing, vitamins and not being able to move, and just things that are just out of this territory that you would never think. And we got married in 2007 because it was a long divorce. But we got married on the day that my ex beat me, October 6th, 2007. And the moment I forgave him was, that was about a year, almost directly before that. Forgiveness was the most amazing feeling probably ever in this world. And it just got better from that point on, actually, with Jesus, even though things were going great. And there are so many little pinpoints here and there that happened that were just wows. But the moment I forgave, it was just the feeling was just absolutely out of this world. And and that's a lot of forgiveness, but it felt so much better to forgive, because what, that didn't take a lot, and it felt so much better. And after that, we got married, and my ex actually decided to, because my husband today has raised her, and it's just works better for the family. And it's just awesome because it all rolled together this past year. He's adopting her, and I'm going on my 3rd brain surgery. And it's just like, God just keeps, working wonders. And just know that He's in control and He has amazing plans for you. Even in tough times, you have to keep knowing He loves you and He has His arms open for you. And just give it all to Him and talk to others. And, just keep that faith. Anyway, I'm at Alive in Me on Twitter, and just chat with me if you need to. And many blessings your way.